Hey there, history buffs and animal lovers. Ever wondered about the unsung heroes or villains of human civilization? Well, buckle up, because today we're revving up the animal time machine to dive into an epic, often hidden saga. Did you know a tiny rodent might have played a role in Napoleon's downfall? Or that a swarming army of them plunged Europe into centuries of darkness? Welcome to Rats vs. Humans, 10,000 Years of Sabotage, where the furry, the cunning, and the relentlessly adaptable have shaped our world, one gnaw at a time. Let's rewind the clock about 10,000 years. Humans, being the clever folks we are, started farming, growing wheat, barley, you name it. We fought, great, no more chasing woolly mammoths. Our furry little friends, the rats. And guess who else thought it was great? They basically looked at humanity's first granaries and said, "Oh, you're making a buffet just for us? How incredibly thoughtful." From that moment on, it was a match made in, well, not heaven, but certainly in your granary. These early house rats, also known as black rats, quickly figured out that living near people meant easy access to food and shelter. They snuggled into our storages, gnawing on grains and leaving little thank you notes. And just like that, humanity gained some permanent, albeit uninvited roommates, a relationship that would last millennia, whether we liked it or not. As humans built empires and sailed across oceans, these clever creatures simply hitched a ride. From the dusty trails of the Middle East to the bustling ports of China, Europe, and Africa, rats were the ultimate stowaways. Hiding in cargo and sneaking onto ships, they were the secret passengers on humanity's grand journey, spreading silently beneath the wheels of history, adapting and thriving wherever people settled. Talk about going global. Hold on a minute. You might think rats are just rats, but these furry little masterminds had been influencing human history in ways you wouldn't believe, long before they went viral on subway platforms. Our story takes us way back to the days of mighty empires, where rats weren't just pests. They were more like strategic adversaries, pulling off some truly legendary sabotage. First up, ancient Egypt, land of pharaohs, pyramids, and apparently a whole lot of hungry rats. These guys zeroed in on the granaries, munching through precious grain supplies like it was an all-you-can-eat buffet. Some historians even link their munching to widespread famines. It got so bad that the Egyptians started worshipping cats, seeing these feline heroes as the original perfect pest control. Talk about earning your stripes, or your purrs. Now let's zip over to the mighty Roman Empire. With all their impressive engineering, you'd think they'd have these tiny terrors sorted, right? Nope. Rats were still causing major headaches, gnawing through vast grain storage systems and creating a constant economic drain. Some ancient accounts even suggest that these tiny saboteurs played a part in triggering famines, proving that even the most powerful empires couldn't escape the gnawing reality of a rat's relentless appetite. Meanwhile, in ancient China, farmers had a pretty straightforward name for rats: crop thieves. Direct and to the point. But here's the interesting part. Some folks also secretly kept a few rats, believing these little critters could actually predict good fortune. So, were they welcomed guests or despised enemies? It seems ancient Chinese rats were less about simple theft and more about mysterious psychic powers, at least in the hopes of the local villagers. Quite the mixed signals. And what about the military? Turns out, soldiers had some seriously uninvited bunkmates, rats. These four-legged spies infiltrated barracks, gnawing on everything from weapons to vital artillery cables, and even turning soldiers' shoes into chew toys. From ancient garrisons to the muddy trenches of modern warfare, rats were the ultimate uninvited guests, making life miserable and potentially impacting military effectiveness. Hard to fight a war when your boots have more holes than a Swiss cheese. Now, let's fast forward to a truly dark chapter in history when rats earned their infamous reputation. Picture this. It's the year 1347. From the bustling ports of Asia, cargo ships were sailing towards Europe, packed not just with goods, but with an unwelcome furry passenger, the black rat, often called the ship rat. These small rodents, originally from Southeast Asia, were master travelers, perfectly adapted to hitching rides on human vessels. These weren't just any rats. They were carrying fleas infected with the bubonic plague. And here's the kicker. While these tiny fleas were jumping ship and infecting people, leading to outbreaks that wiped out about a third of Europe's population, the rats themselves were surprisingly resilient carriers. It seemed like a cruel joke, as humans suffered devastating losses while the rodent carriers continued to move the disease. In a desperate but tragically misguided attempt to fight back, people decided to blame cats. They believed felines were somehow responsible for the plague, leading to widespread mass killings of cats. This, of course, only made things worse. With their natural predators gone, rat populations exploded, giving them free rein across cities and homes, essentially handing them the keys to the kingdom. This era cemented the rat's terrifying image in human culture. They became known as the devil's lapdog, a literal agent of human destruction. People saw them as more than just pests. They were harbingers of doom, symbols of squalor and decay, and even messengers from the underworld. This deep-seated fear and suspicion, this rats as doomsayers syndrome, truly began here, weaving itself into our stories and fears for centuries to come. Guess what? This isn't just a horror story. It's also a redemption arc, kinda. Flash forward to the 19th century. Our whiskered friends, those master survivors, somehow charmed their way into scientific laboratories, from dreaded pests to unwitting heroes. Scientists quickly realized these little guys were super smart and tough, making them perfect for all sorts of studies, even helping us understand complex human diseases like Alzheimer's. Who knew our least favorite neighbors would become lab assistants? It's like finding out your arch nemesis bakes cookies on the side. But don't get too cozy. Their anti-hero status continued through the world wars. Imagine this. Soldiers already facing unimaginable horrors also had to deal with rats as uninvited trench buddies. These furry saboteurs weren't just eating rations, they were chewing through crucial artillery cables and spreading diseases like typhus fever. They were basically tiny, four-legged spies, unintentionally wreaking havoc behind enemy lines. Talk about adding insult to injury. Now let's hop across the pond to modern-day New York City. If you've seen a viral video of a rat carrying pizza on the subway, you know what I'm talking about. These brown rats rule the underground. They're not just rummaging through your trash, they're chewing through electrical wires and setting up colonies in unexpected places. With their ability to squeeze through tiny holes and survive big falls, they've built a thriving, shadowy empire beneath our feet. It's a true modern dark empire, right below the city's hustle and bustle. So how did this happen? Modern cities, with all their conveniences, are accidental playgrounds for rats. What we humans call urban inconveniences, like overflowing trash, sprawling underground systems, and forgotten dark corners, rats call five-star resorts. They feast on our leftovers, nest in our infrastructure, and generally thrive on the chaos of urban life. It turns out, our messes are their mansions, making the city a paradise for them, even if it's a headache for us. It's a classic case of one species' problem being another's opportunity. Alright, let's talk numbers, because when it comes to rats, it's a numbers game, and they are winning. Big time. A single female rat in just a few short months can be responsible for over 50 descendants. Think about that. Litters every couple of months with up to a dozen pups each time. Their population explodes at an astonishing rate. We're always playing catch-up, trying to thin their ranks, but they just keep multiplying like crazy. It's like trying to empty the ocean with a teacup when it comes to these furry superbreeders. And it's not for lack of trying on our part. We've unleashed every modern weapon, smart traps, sophisticated poisons, even artificial intelligence to predict their movements. But these aren't dumb creatures. Rats are incredibly intelligent, capable of learning quickly and remembering where danger lurks. They develop resistance to our poisons, navigate complex urban landscapes like master strategists, and adapt to every trick we throw at them. It's a constant, high-stakes chess match between human ingenuity and rodent resilience. So, considering their remarkable adaptability and uncanny ability to thrive in our shadow, it begs a fascinating, if slightly unsettling, question. What if one day we weren't here? If humanity somehow faded from the scene, what history would the rats write for themselves? Would they become the new dominant species, building their own ratopolis from the ruins of our cities? Or would they simply continue their ancient ways, forever etching their own wild, tenacious story onto the fabric of a world without us? One thing's for sure, this ancient rivalry is far from over. And just like that, our 10,000-year journey with rats comes to a close. What have we learned? These aren't just pests, they're extraordinary survivors, cunning saboteurs, and whether we like it or not, our most ancient housemates. From devouring crops and spreading plagues to navigating our subways and even aiding in labs, they've been entwined with our destiny. So next time you spot a furry shadow darting across your path, remember their incredible story. Be careful, yes, but maybe, just maybe, offer a silent nod of respect. Or, if you're feeling extra generous, toss them a snack and whisper, "All right, you win this round."